thinking back to when I really thought that AI could be a positive tool for me to use, I think it was definitely in like maybe the middle or like the end of my second year. It was actually my dad who first introduced it to me. I remember coming to him one day and just kind of complaining about one of my general chemistry classes and saying how difficult it was and how I wasn't understanding the concepts. And then he introduced me to Bing AI, which I think now is Microsoft Copilot. And he was basically like, if you have any questions about specific concepts, just, ask it. And then you can ask follow-up questions and it'll break down those concepts. So after he told me that, I was like, all right, let me, try. I've heard a couple things about, students using ChatGPT and other AI platforms for getting help. So I wasn't super unfamiliar with it, but it was my first time using it. I went to Bing AI and then I was, asking it these questions from our homework. And I was really impressed by the language it used. It was super clear, it was concise. And I think my favorite part was just being able to ask follow-up questions. And I was really starting to understand these concepts. I was like, wow, and information it was telling me was all correct. I was understanding the concepts. I was able to get my questions right. And I think that was a really eye-opening experience for me because after that, I really started using it on more assignments whenever I was confused. So overwhelmingly, we all used it as like a study material, as a way to get extra practice problems, as a way to reinforce the concepts we learned in lectures. A lot of what I learned from like how to even use AI properly came from my friends and from learning and sharing tools with each other. So I think that was probably our biggest use for it. Obviously, you'd hear now and then people using it for other reasons that are probably a lot less ethical, but for like the mass majority of us, it was just using it as like a reinforcement of what we learned in lecture. For me, I think most of my professors were very overwhelmingly like, no, you should not be using this as a tool. You shouldn't be using it to cheat. I think when they think of AI, the first thing that came to their mind was looking up all of these questions and getting answers and submitting that same thing that ChatGPT gave you. I did have a few professors that were like, hey, AI is a great thing. I've used it in projects before, but overwhelmingly it was very much like, you shouldn't be using this. If you do use it, I will catch you. And there are really big consequences to it. But I think that just comes with learning over time and just the evolution of it. I think if they took a little bit of time to really look into the positive sides and share that with us, that could be something that's helpful. I feel like I've already started using it a couple times just on building my resume to get started on applying. I made my resume on my own and then I like put it through like an AI platform and be like, how can I make some of this like wording a little bit more stronger? Like, is there a way I can phrase that to sound more clear? In the past, when I've done like gotten other interview invites, I've used it to kind of give me help with like tips and like, what can I say? How can I, like, this is what I'm thinking of saying when I answer this question, but do you think that sounds good? Or how do you think I can make it sound even better and even more powerful? So I think that is definitely the best way that I've used it. It's much different than just asking Google like tips to stand out. This is like you're having a conversation. So you get that help that's like a little bit more personalized, which I really like. I think if you're like a student now, our biggest thing is to just not lose our inner desire to learn and want to learn more. Because I think now I like look on social media and things like that and people starting to use at such a young age, like middle school and like high school. And these are just such pivotal parts of your life where you're supposed to be gaining those skills. So I think just being a student means learning more and not relying on those things to give you the answers, even when it's tempting to do so for convenience and ease. I think sometimes choosing the more difficult path is worth it.